Hello, everyone. We are back at it again with the podcast, the AnimeCast. I've got my man Justin LC.
That's me.
His patented catchphrase.
That's me, yeah.
Today we are talking about Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. And, we both have read the entirety of the web novels, at least, not all the side stuff. I'm almost through the side stuff, but...
Yeah.
Through the main series, right? And we thought this series is way too fucking long to do in one podcast, so we're going to split this up into sections based on the different times of his life and stuff like that, which is very convenient given that the anime literally just this week finished covering the last part of the novel from this section. So we finally got volumes 1 through 6 covered here, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So it's a pretty cool stretch. First, I'll say I got into this through... I watched the anime after it finished airing, the first season, and before the second one was airing. And I wasn't, crazy about it. I was like, this is a 7. I had some issues with it, but overall I thought it was pretty interesting, and, it looks fucking gorgeous. And I was reading some random manga, and I was like, fuck it, I'll read the manga for Mushoku Tensei, which, many will tell you is a bad idea, and it kind of is a bad idea. But it was fine enough since I picked it up from where volume 4 starts. So they do a pretty decent job of that section. But I got through it and I was like, that was pretty good. Maybe I'll read the fucking web novels or whatever. So I found them online and I binged all the web novels in a month. I read for so fucking long. It was crazy.
I do distinctly remember how long you were reading that for.
Yeah.
Every time crazy. I'd be like, Cole would message me and be like, dude, I just read for 8 hours today. My eyes hurt.
There was 3 days in a row where I read for 10 hours straight.
That's crazy.
It was unreal. Yeah, I was just so into it at a certain point.
There's a turning point for most series where you go from barely watching an episode a day or reading maybe a chapter till you just go, oh, all of a sudden I'm feeling it, and you just go crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's usually an indicator that I like a series, is whenever I have a stretch of time where I just can't stop thinking about it. So
yeah, pretty much. I'm still in that phase where it's I'm very frequently thinking about this show a lot still.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been making videos. I've got more videos planned for the series other than this podcast. So
subscribe to 7 Nights on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the comments. Tell Cole he's a good guy.
If you hate this video, leave a thumbs up. If you like this video, also leave a thumbs up.
Yeah.
If you feel pretty neutral about the video, you're like, whatever, it's all right. Leave a thumbs up too.
And if you really hate the video, message, I think it's @Fooly CL on Twitter. Call him a bitch.
Yeah, definitely.
He'll appreciate that one.
He definitely will. So in this one, since we both read the web novels, I don't think either of us read the light novels, right?
No, I haven't even touched them.
Yeah.
That's not true, actually. I accidentally read 3 chapters of the Volume 15 light novel because I thought it was the web novel.
Oh. I see. It's kind of further on in chapter 19 or 20 or something-ish. There's 3 chapters missing from the site that all the web novels are on. So you have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah, and while I was reading it, the website got taken down. So.
Oh yeah, it did, and then it got replaced.
Removed from the website I was reading it on. I was like, "What the fuck?"
And then it got replaced on a website that is almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those sites that's there are a million copies of them, just Kiss Anime and stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking novelfree.ml. It used to be .mt or some shit before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have read light novel 7, which is exclusive to the light novels. Although they're gonna adapt it for the manga, they're making a side manga and going back and adapting it, which is crazy because the manga's on novel 11 or 12. So it's a pretty interesting decision. But we won't be talking about that here since it's not in this section anyways. So
yeah.
But yeah, definitely this is a series that, based on the first season of the anime, I was the first 2 arcs I was this is pretty solid. Not crazy into it, but it's pretty solid. I like the attention to the world building and shit like that. And then I only started to really get sold on it with like the stuff that's covered in like volume 3, the demon continent and shit like that. I think that's where the series really started to sell me, was all the stuff with Ruijerd, because I just find him so interesting and like so cool as a character.
Ryujerd is definitely probably top 5 characters for me. So
yeah, he is super fucking cool. For me, the point where I like realized that the series has really good writing actually for the characters was either when we're learning about Ruijerd's like backstory and stuff like that, and then the point where they're in the demon continent and they have to go find the lost pet.
Oh yeah, the pet shop. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
and
exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, and it's the dudes who are kidnapping the pets, and you know they capture him, and they're like, oh, confess, and the dude kicks Rudius across the room. And he's like, oh, geez, these guys are being rough, and Ruijerd just cuts his fucking head off.
He just fucking kills him.
He just kills him straight up, and it's like that was the moment where I was like, oh shit, this series is like actually like interesting, because in that moment it's like, you know, it's just the difference of values entirely. Like Rudius is like, wow, this guy's a prick, but like that's the extent of his thing. Whereas Ruijerd's like, yeah, this guy's definitely evil. Kill him. Fucking murder him. And it's like, damn, I think I get why people find him so scary now. Like, even though
only
he's a
evil
good guy.
people hurt children, Cole.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
That's
pretty
the
interesting.
Ryujerd thought train.
Yeah. He starts as a very, like, not necessarily very black and white, but like, in situations like that, he's really black and white. But he develops a lot throughout. Like, you see a lot of scenarios where he starts to, like, kind of broaden his ideas of what's right and wrong, that kind of deal. Not just be like, you either are against the kids or you're for the kids, or you either did an evil thing or you didn't do an evil thing.
Are you a kid enjoyer or a kid hater?
Yeah. But yeah, that was where I was like, damn, the series is actually pretty sick. So we've got volumes 1 through 6. That's what all the anime is finished through season 2 right now. Which, can we talk a minute about how highly rated the fucking second season is right now? It's got
it's at like an 8.8 or something.
Yeah, 8.83 on Mal right now. Ranked number 24 highest rated show right now. That is fucking crazy. It's I mean, people always get upset when new shows have super inflated ratings like this, and it's like, it's just because it's new. Like, that's how it always works, you know? Like,
yeah,
it's just a bunch of people, and especially when it's a sequel like this, like, sequels are usually inflated score-wise, because, like, most of the only people who, like, when I hate a season 1, I don't watch the fucking season 2, you know? Like,
right.
Mostly the fans watch season 2. So that's why, like, just other than Gintama just being good, that's why, like, a lot of the top 10 or top 15 shit are, like, different seasons than Gintama, because A, Gintama's good, and B, only the people who like Gintama made it through the first fucking, like, a million episodes of season 1, you know? Like,
exactly.
But
I was looking at other isekais to see what their sequels are rated. So like ReZero season 2 is at like an 8.4, 8.5 for the second part still.
That's pretty high.
What about Konosuba? I assume pretty high. People love that show.
Yeah, people really like Konosuba.
The movie's at like an 8.5, but I'm not surprised because I remember the writer of Pulp Fiction distinctly said that he loved that movie. So.
Yeah, he watched it and tweeted out, "This is the reason film was created." Like,
I thought it was a great movie. I mean, I read the light novel for the part the movie covered. I really enjoyed it.
I haven't watched the movie. I didn't quite make it through season 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's like a lot of Konosuba is just kind of the same group dynamic, which, you know, can get old for comedy's sake, but
yeah, it was. I was getting a bit tired of it, but it was also I was watching it like while it was airing, so it was like I had to come back every week, you know.
Yeah,
and
for
that
sure.
can really fuck up the pacing.
What else?
But,
Slime? What is Slime rated?
Yeah, Slime. Fucking Slimy Sky, second season, part 2, 8.3.
Yeah, so most second seasons will be rated quite high.
Yeah, second season, part 2 of Slimy Sky is like by far the worst season of it. Also, like,
yeah,
what did I
haven't. I've seen like 1 or 3 episodes maybe of the first season. So
yeah, it's just like really boring season. I gave it a 5, but I gave the other 2 like a 6 or a 7, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, people don't really care, and especially in a thing like this where it's like the like, you know, arguably season 2 of Mushoku Tensei looks better than season 1. Like, I would probably make that argument. Whereas, like, stuff with, like, ReZero season 2, a lot of people complain about the production, the quality
Me
going
included,
down.
even as a fan.
Yeah. But, you know, it's just, like, fucking crunch shit like that.
Yeah,
that
COVID.
works.
I believe
Yep.
they animated, like, over half of it from home, so...
That's so tough.
But for how it turned out, honestly, that being the case, it really looks fine, I think, so...
That's good. At least it's, like, doing fine. But, I mean, Mushoku Tensei, like, production is just, like, crazy in and of itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, you consider the fact that Studio Bind was literally created with wanting to animate the show, so...
Yeah, Studio Bind, which is talent from Egg Firm. What are the other studios?
Was Studio Bones in there at all?
No, it was...
The Snow Fox, I think, has some...
Or White Fox, yeah.
White Fox, yeah. Because I remember that was part of the reason, actually. I think some of the people that were working on ReZero went over to the Studio Bind thing, so...
Yep. Oh, yeah, that sucked. So, yeah, White Fox and Egg Firm, that was the other one. Basically, it was just a bunch of people who... They made a studio for the Mushoku Tensei adaptation. They'd been working on it for, I think, 5 years by the time the first season aired, so...
It shows.
It's been a long, well-thought-out project, you know? I mean, really, like, a lot of people talking about anime production, they say, like, you know, the budget, whatever, or, like, studio talent. Really, the thing that makes the biggest difference more than anything is, like, the level of planning, right? You get these sequels and stuff like that that are run on, like, really tight schedule and not left for much room to, like, work with stuff and fix things, and you kind of come out with issues, but... I mean, fucking 5-year production cycle is pretty fucking good for a season.
Oh, for sure. And you have to consider... I'm trying to remember what I was going to say, but with animation specifically, like, there are shows years, decades, even older than stuff that looks better than what we have now just because of how they use what they have.
Yeah, definitely.
So budget is not everything.
Yeah. Like... People often cite One Punch Man as a show that looks really good, but in interviews, the director of One Punch Man would talk about how the show didn't have, like, a budget that was any different from normal shows. It was just the team was really charismatic and really cared about it, where they had a lot of talented animators, and they just planned it out in advance really well.
Yeah.
So it just, like, you know, that level of competency is really important. And it shows in this entire production. I mean, this show looks fantastic. Yeah, there's just so many, like, memorable Sakuga cuts. I have a fucking folder on my computer of, like, fucking 40-something clips of just, like, really high intensity Sakuga cuts that I use in videos and then get my videos taken down for having. So,
yeah, you're not going to be able to put them over the podcast, probably. So
no, I can definitely loop some shit, but yeah, I'm not going to, like, heavily edit this or anything. It's a podcast.
Sad. You have to watch it yourself to see cool animation.
Yeah. It's so visually, very good show. Also, I went through the OST for some of the videos I've made, and OST is also very good. I mean,
Isekais, I think, are well known, at least the good ones, for having great OSTs because they help bring you to the world a lot.
Yeah. Specifically for something like Mushoku Tensei, where it's like, you know, there's a lot of different cultures and shit like that, you can kind of get a feel for.
Yeah, like,
that
especially
kind of
you think of the Beast race. Like, the entire soundscape when they were in the forest there was completely different.
Yep, for sure.
When they were in the Demon Continent, it's completely different from the Central Continent, all that type of stuff. So, they use different instruments, too.
Definitely. It's very cool. Everything has this, like, folk kind of sound where it's all, like, instrumental and, like, light, a lot of,
yeah,
like,
I love
strings.
the opening. It was a really good opening.
Yep, the opening is really good. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about it, and I'll praise it too. The opening where it's like they have like other things happening during the opening. It's not just like set footage. It's like, you know, they're walking around traveling and they meet some people and they have some exposition that's actually kind of important during the opening. Like, it's such a smart way to, like, you know, just make more use of that time, establish things that, you know, not everyone wants to watch for a minute 30, like like in the episode where it's Zenith and Rudy is like sitting in a room, and Zenith is really upset because Paul cheated on her, all that kind of stuff. During that episode, the opening is just like her and Lilia sitting in a room, and it's dark and depressing, just like giving you that whole atmosphere. And it's like there's like almost no dialogue, and it's like you can't necessarily have that in a show where people will be like, dude, nothing's happening, like what's going on. But if you put it over the opening and you like build the atmosphere that way, it makes way more sense.
It's
like
really
a super
well done.
smart idea. Yeah, I loved it a lot. They do a really good job of that.
And they use it plenty of times just to flex how good they are at drawing. So
yeah, it's
some of those
sick.
landscapes in the Demon Continent and some of those shots in the Beast race area are just like insane. Like these literally, you could take any one of these still frames. It looks like a painting.
Yeah, actually, the backgrounds in the show are just really, really good. I particularly love that shot of Ruijerd and Rudius after they make up after their big fight or whatever kind of thing at the end of season 1, and then they like shake hands and talk about how they're gonna like talk things out better, and it's got like the moonlit sky and shit in the background and all the stars are out. It looks so good. I love that shot. Yeah. So what do we want to talk about in the first parts? I mean, first part's pretty similar to the anime. I think the anime in general does a really good job of adapting the novels. They cut off some stuff, they change some stuff, but they do a really good job of it. Like in comparison to the manga, which does a pretty bad job of it. In a lot of places, they take some creative freedoms that do not work.
I haven't read the manga, so I'm not familiar. But
so we just got through pretty recently was the part where it's like Rudy is saving Lilia and Aisha, right? In the anime. And in the anime, it happens like the same as it happens in the novel, pretty much. The only difference was like when it shows Lilia and Aisha getting teleported. In the novel, they are teleported like directly to the castle, whereas in this one, they like go to the castle seeking support, which I think either makes sense. Some people were like, oh, but the castle kept them because they thought they were a spy, so it wouldn't make sense if they kept them and they went there on purpose. And it's like, at the end of the day, the point was that it was an excuse to capture them. They don't actually believe that. Like,
yeah, he's just trying to get Roxy because they found out they were related to her in some way.
Yeah. So that part doesn't matter. But in the manga, what happens is basically the whole escape is a little bit different. You, instead of like Rudius getting captured and all this kind of shit happening, what happens is like Rudius breaks in and basically a fight breaks out between all the guards, and all the guards like fight him and Eris, and Ruijerd is somewhere else getting the families or something like that. But Eris is with him this time, and they have to fight the guards, and the guards are like trained in anti-magic, so it's really hard for Rudius to beat them, but the guards are like going easy the whole time and trying to let them escape kind of thing. And you know, they do all this shit and they escape and blah blah. But the biggest part that's different about it, other than not setting up the barrier stuff as well, because the barrier stuff is really fucking important later on. The whole deal with Aisha in this one is she really doesn't realize that it's Rudius until like they're starting to escape. Whereas in this one, she's like she admits it at the end. She knew it was Rudius like the whole time kind of thing, right? Because she's smart as fuck. But in the manga, she like is way more genuine in believing like all the anti-Rudius stuff, like he's
the anti-Rudius propaganda.
Yeah, the propaganda. Yeah. And she only realizes like when they're escaping, some detail comes out, and she's like, "Wait, it's Rudius!" And we get this really melodramatic scene of like, but why would Rudius like not reveal himself to me as my brother? Oh no, he thinks I hate him. I'm such a terrible person. He hates me. I'm horrible. I should kill myself. Like she's just like so upset about it. Like, and like it kind of just turns from like, oh my gosh, Rudius is like, you know, I don't like him that much. Actually, I'll earn his trust kind of thing, to like, I've been so mean to Rudius. He's the best person ever kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't work nearly as well, and it makes
sets
her
up Aisha better the way they do it elsewhere. So
yeah, because like a lot of Aisha is that she's really fucking smart, decidedly, whereas in that version she's kind of dumb. Although she does like realize it, I guess, so it's not that dumb, but like, yeah, definitely a lot worse. I haven't read the manga for the first 3 volumes. I only started the manga like on volume 4, where the first season of the anime left off. I heard the first 3 volumes are really bad in the manga compared to the anime. So I'm glad I did not read that, because I think the manga does a pretty decent job, other than what we were just talking about, of like what season 2 covers. In my opinion, it covers the Paul Rudius meeting really, really well. I mean, I used screenshots of it in the video about that relationship that I did, which, oh my god, watching that video again, the audio quality is so bad. It's so hard to watch. But the facial expressions, you know, the manga is generally just really melodramatic, but it works a lot in that particular section, so it kind of works well. They also have an alternate, like, take on the situation. In the anime and the web novels, what happens is, like, you know, after they have the fight and leave, Paul meets with Geese, and Geese is like, well, you're being a prick, let me explain why you're being a prick, kind of thing, right? But in the manga, what happens is that happens a little bit, but instead Geese is like, hey, I've got something to do, you should come help me. And Paul's like, fine, whatever. And he takes him down to the sewers, and they have to fight a bunch of monsters. And he's like, what the fuck, why would you have me fight all this shit? That was terrifying. And he's like, yeah, this is what it was like being Rudius on the demon continent. And he's fucking like 7, you fucking idiot, you're being a prick. Like that kind of shit. Which I thought worked really well, but it was like different for sure.
Yeah.
So I would say that's one of the few like creative liberties they take that actually works pretty well in the manga. So
every time I hear Geese, I just think of fucking Fatal Fury Geese Howard. Geese.
Geese. Every time I think of Geese, cause how it's written in the web novels, I always like have to remember not to say Gisu. Like,
oh yeah,
Gisu.
Gisu.
Yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. I want to talk a little bit about Volume 1, and so
yeah, sure.
Volume 1, just like this is all the shit at his house and meeting Sophie, meeting Roxy, all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on this whole section, Justin LC?
Let me think. I believe Volume 1 is where the magic system is introduced.
Yep.
And I immediately thought it was very well thought out and clear.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is distinctly important for instigating and like setting what power levels will be in the future of the series.
Yep. And
it's fun because it wasn't a case of this character is overpowered. In a sense, you can consider, I guess, his special ability just being the fact that he has 40 years of knowledge as a new life. And he just learns how to use magic really well and finds out that apparently magic was not set like at birth and that you can train it. It's just that people weren't pretty much incapable of doing it because they were 6 or whatever.
Yeah, I really like how that discovery works because, like, you know, this is right away, like, the first thing we learn about magic, especially in the novel, I don't know if how much they touch on this in the anime, it's been a while, but in the novel they talk about how, like, you know, the magic we have now is mimicking magic from a long time ago from, like, elfish race, you know, that kind of stuff, what they used to do, summoning spirits and all that kind of stuff. And so this is, like, it's made very clear that this is, like, shitty recreations at that kind of stuff. A lot of technology has been lost, like, especially in the magic kind of realm. People are still developing new things, but it's mostly, like, trying to reclaim old technology kind of thing. Which is why it's so, like, poorly understood altogether across the world. Among other things, like, hey, it's very hard to transfer information when we don't have the fucking printing press, you know what I mean? Like, people handwrite their fucking books.
Extremely, like, they cost a lot. They're worth a lot.
Yeah, because you fucking, not only do you have to have all that knowledge yourself, but also you handwrite every page. Impossible.
Insanity.
But yeah, the really cool thing about that revelation is, like, that it's like, you know, people think the magic is set, your amount of mana is set at birth, but Rudius very obviously finds evidence of, hey, the one day I could use 2, this day I can use 4, this day I can use 8, etc., etc. He's like
exponential.
Yeah, he's very clearly, like, expanding his mana pool, which is, you know, pretty cool, growth, stuff like that. And his theory is just that, like, at puberty, it probably is set, right? Like, that kind of stuff, which, you know, makes sense. I mean, A lot of physical things happen at puberty. A lot of limitations are set then. So, you know. But,
Yeah, I do find it interesting. I don't know if there's any link there, but it almost seems like it rewards him for breaking out of his neat habit from his other life extremely, like, quickly and doing things.
oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he only, you know, very, very much later on in the manga, you know, he talks about his monopool, and he gets reassured that basically your monopool is just the result of, like, how much you've worked early on.
Of hard work, yeah.
Yeah. So, very cool stuff. Yeah, I really like that discovery because it's framed as, like, it gives us immediately, you know, the idea that not all the exposition you learn is necessarily 100% correct, right? And,
yeah,
I mean, that's how history works in real life, right?
It makes the world feel real.
Yeah, that's how it works in real life. I mean, we only know the versions of things that were passed on. We don't know all the details and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, the new historicism and all that.
For all we know, MLK virus could have been real.
Oh my god.
Hey, that was Gavin, not me.
Dude, we can't give Gavin enough shit for that, dude. I swear to God. That was
Watch
so funny.
the fall anime seasonal podcast episode for context on that.
That episode is so funny. There's an audio error in the middle of that. Just skip forward like 10-15 minutes, I swear.
Just go to the World's End Harem. That's a banger part.
That is a banger part. It's so funny because he was so amped up for it. He's like, we got him all riled up. We basically like put him in a cage and shook him. Basically, like, go ahead, go get him. He's like, yeah, World's End Harem, MLK virus, and we're like, what the fuck? Like got him too excited. He didn't know what to say.
Yeah, it's like a cage fighting animal.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything. It was so funny.
But yeah, Volume 1, there's not a whole lot. I mean, I actually, as a slice of life enjoyer, I found it quite fun. So
definitely,
there's a lot of kind of like weirdish, etchy stuff, I guess. But that's fair amount of the series. You just kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, I have a stomach for that stuff at this point. Like, you don't watch anime for like fucking 8+ years
for this long and not just be like, yeah, it's weird, but whatever.
And the worst thing is that it's played up a lot more in the anime overall.
Oh, for sure.
It's played up even more in the manga. The manga is like basically a gag manga. Sometimes, like, especially during the school arc, it's like every other scene is like the holy relic. Whoa! I was like, okay, dude, funny joke, funny joke. Yeah. Whereas, like, that kind of stuff comes off way better in a novel format where it's like, you have this long, serious scene, and it's like, the very last line is, sorry, like, and I still have the holy relic, or something like that. Like,
oh, yeah. Like, a lot of chapters will just end with, like, a deadpan joke, which is pretty funny
it's
usually.
Like, one line, like, as opposed to, like, fucking 15-second scene and shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can talk about, obviously, the thing where most people are like, Mushoku Tensei, you...
Yeah.
He likes, he's the thing with kids or whatever.
Yeah, we can get into that, I suppose.
It's like, obviously, yeah, I mean, probably could have written that a different way, but ultimately it's like a development potential for him. Yeah.
The point is that he is, in fact, a piece of garbage. Like,
right.
Nobody is like, yes, 34-year-old neat Rudius. He was he did nothing wrong. Like, no one's saying that.
He's my hero.
And and then you get to this
in a lot of ways, like, he was pretty much, like, you learn later, he was just kind of stunted. Like, he really did not get to experience high school or any of that, like, mental or emotional growth. So
yeah, I mean, he was, like, completely scarred sexually. I mean, he was fucking had all his clothes stripped off and fucking tied to some poles and shit like that, like tied to a gate. It was horrible.
Yeah.
That really fucked him up. Really good. I mean, he's like mentally not fully developed in that way. He is lacking in a lot of areas. But yeah, the stuff with Sylphie is still like kind of weird, but it's also kind of not, like, because he rereading this, actually, it kind of stuck out to me a lot how many times, specifically, Rudius in his inner monologue would say things like, I think she's cute, but it's nothing romantic or anything like that. Like, I don't feel any romantic way. She's way too young, that kind of thing. And I'm like,
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Rudius is like all talk. So.
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, and even in that way, he's like, you know, everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's like going after this 6-year-old girl, what fucking pedo kind of thing. It's like, he very clearly makes it out that he is not. Like, he's not trying to do that, especially not when she's fucking young or whatever. Like, there you could talk about the more legitimate complaint is maybe like grooming kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But like, at this point, all he's been doing is like playing, having fun with her. Like, he's not doing any weird things. He's not teaching her any weird things necessarily, that kind of stuff. I mean, he thought that she was a boy for a long time also. Like,
yeah.
So I would say it doesn't really fall in that, especially when the way that section ends, you know, they play together for a couple years or whatever. Like, maybe 2 maximum. 2 or 3 maybe. And the way that section ends is that, you know, kind of the complaints that the people who hate this show come with, they're like, you know, he's like stagnating her growth, you know, it's like grooming, that kind of stuff like that. And Paul agrees. He's like, you know, she, like, it's good that you've taught her some stuff and that she has a friend now, but she's never going to grow on her own if you do everything for her. And so he fucking, when Rudius wants a job, he fucking boots them out and separates them forcibly until they're adults, which is a super fucking good idea. I mean, that just works out so well. So I think anyone who's like, oh my gosh, she groomed Sylphie is a fucking moron at that point. Like,
yeah,
they've been forcibly separated so that she could grow as her own person. Like,
Paul being based.
Yeah. Which Paul is a shitbag, but he's also based. I mean, Paul
That's the best part about him.
I mean, when he was younger, he fucking sexually assaulted people, and he fucking cheats on his wife, all that kind of shit. But he's also a good guy in some ways. It's complicated.
That's the beauty of Mushoku Tensei. Flawed characters.
And the thing is, it's a lot about the time period. I mean, stuff like sexual assault, women aren't, like, were not viewed as, like, as important as men during this kind of medieval type era. Right. Where it's like, you know, it's like, oh, you got sexually assaulted. Oh, man, that's, like, rough if it gets out, I guess. Like,
yeah,
it's just, like, the laws were not super strict. A lot of royalty could just do whatever they want. I mean, mind you, Paul is of royal lineage, you know. Especially in the part where it's like, oh, you know, I'll just have a second wife. You know, I'll cheat on my wife. It doesn't even matter that much, I guess. Because,
whatever.
Because he's fucking used to being in a royal family where they have tons of concubines and shit like that and don't give a fuck. But it's way worse when you realize that, like, the only promise Zenith made for him was, as long as you don't sleep with anyone other than me, okay? When they get married. Which you see much later. And then it's like, oh, Paul's a fucking asshole. But, and I mean, even Rudius identifies it. He's like, in short, Paul's a scumbag. Like, that kind of thing.
Many times.
And it's like, yeah. But it's like, despite that, he still can be redeemed in some ways. I mean, I definitely didn't hate him by the end of this season or the next one, right? Like,
yeah,
he does some terrible, terrible shit, which you arguably shouldn't forgive him for, but the characters still do. And I just find that a super good message. Like, to leave it up to your own judgment and, you know, at least try to forgive people. You don't have to forgive anybody, but it's worth trying.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that you shouldn't forgive people for, but there's definitely also things you can forgive for. So I think that's a super good message.
Yes, sir. I think ultimately it's just like, I don't think you should let what other people say about Mushoku Tensei be your judgment on will I watch this or not. You should try it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I would recommend by far the novels over the anime.
Yeah.
Especially for at least like the first season, where it's like definitely relies more on that shtick of like, haha, I'm a baby, look, I found panties, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But after that season, it's like, it goes way down, like, in scale of that. So,
yeah.
I suppose I don't have much else to talk about. I really like the whole Paul cheating on Zenith thing. I think there's a lot of depth there. I think it's done really well.
Yeah, I like, especially with Lilia.
Yeah, I agree.
because it's like super important for later. Is because Aaliyah's like, this child is fucking weird and creepy.
Yeah, she like criticizes him in the ways that a lot of people who dislike this show criticize him. They're like, you know, he's fucking weird. I can see that he's like lustful, that kind of stuff. But then like sees the way he acts and realizes, oh, he's not really a bad person at all. He's still like weird, but he like has a good heart, that kind of thing.
Saves her life pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
By blaming everything on Paul.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
He deserves it.
It's funny, when I was rereading it in the novels, well, because, you know, in both versions, Ruiz is like, he blames it on Paul, like, you know, he was blackmailing her, that kind of thing. He was blackmailing Lilia, that's why she did it. And then, in the novels, what happens is, like, later that day, there's a small scene of, Rudius goes up to his mom and is like, sorry, I made that stuff up about Paul blackmailing. It's not all his fault, kind of thing. And she's like, oh, I see. Which is pretty funny. Because TBH, also definitely Lilia's fault in some ways. I mean, she says... I mean,
she literally said it herself.
Yeah,
so.
She intentionally seduced him, that kind of shit. Which is, suspect. So, okay. Volume 2, this is basically the, tutoring Eris arc, this kind of stuff. This was probably, for me, when I was watching the anime for the first time, probably, like, the weakest section. Maybe I like Volume 1 a little bit less. I don't know. Definitely there's, like, a lot of slowness and cliche in this. Like, I mean, Eris is really insufferable at first, right? Like, she is just a complete prick. I mean, she just gets to do whatever she wants. She is spoiled royalty. Although I like how we see, like, where she learns it from. Like, she learns it very clearly from Soros.
Yeah,
but, like,
Soros is kind of raw.
But Soros is kind of raw because, like, you know, he still listens to people, and, like, even if he's a prick about it, he'll still, like, change his mind and shit like that. Like, when he tells Rudius to do whatever, become his teacher or whatever, or become her teacher or whatever, he's, like, yelling at him, do this kind of thing. And he's like, I think she should have to ask for it herself, you know, if she wants something. He's like, oh, that's a good point. And then he yells and gets Eris to come down. Like, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, he's still a good guy at the end of the day. Unfortunately gets his head chopped off, but,
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that was
really, if you think about it.
Gets caught in the political struggles and the aftermath of the teleportation incident, which ends this arc. Sad. He was a good guy.
Well, mostly. I mean, all of Eris' family literally gets killed, so... Yeah,
pretty much. It's pretty fucked
Philip,
up.
who was debatably a good person.
Yeah, he was, like, a pretty smart guy, and, like, he did some, you know, a couple political shenanigans here and there, right? But
a little fooling around.
Yeah.
A couple tricks.
But, like, definitely not, like, the most abnormal or, like, abhorrent kind of stuff. The worst thing Philip does is, like, where he's like, oh, you know, Rudius, if you'll help support my coup, I'll tie up Eris and throw her in your bed. It's like, okay, that's pretty fucked up, dude.
That's kind of weird.
Like, okay, Jesus Christ. But, I mean, the fucking royals, dude, they just think of their children as political bargaining chips, bro. Like, they don't give a fuck.
Hilda's nice.
Yeah,
she seems mean, but she's just, like, her kids were taken from her, so...
Yeah, because the...
Rough life.
Because the Grey Rat lineage is, like, 4 different houses, and the main house that, like, leads the country or whatever, they have the policy of, like, all the males from each house get raised in the main house to prevent, like, succession battles and that kind of stuff. Which is, I mean, that makes sense, actually, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, usually it's like, oh, all the males fight each other from the different houses to try to become the head of the house, etc., etc. So, but unfortunately, it's Hilda with, no kids except for Eris, and she's very upset about it, especially when a fucking young boy gets to live in her house for free, pretty much, you know?
Yeah.
So, but then she, like, warms up to him and all that kind of shit. It's pretty cool.
Because of his, like, sob story that he made up.
Yeah. Pretty funny. But, what else happens in this section? It's a lot of, like, learning stuff. I like the way that he, like, has to figure out how to teach stubborn people, that kind of shit like that. And how, like, Ghislaine, I really like Ghislaine. She's a pretty cool character. How she, like, talks about, like, you know, I was an adventurer for a long time and I couldn't read because a lot of the population just can't read in this world because it's fucking medieval times. And she's like, and it really fucked me over a lot of times. I almost died a couple times because I had no food because I budgeted my money wrong because people just would like tell me wrong amounts to pay and shit like that, right? Like, it's pretty funny. And then that gets Eris into learning more because she's like, whoa, I want to be an adventurer. That kind of shit. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I do like the kidnapping part. That was pretty good.
I do like the kidnapping part. Kidnapping part is very cool. I mean, it's just like to the extent of which that Eris is just like will not listen to anybody but her like grandfather, like to where she needs to be kidnapped and beaten like by kidnappers to the point where she realizes, oh shit, things are real and I have to like follow orders and shit like that, and I have to like like learn for my own good, that kind of thing. Like, it's rough, but I mean, it's kind of what she needed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Iridius also gets to learn because he almost also dies.
Yep.
Till Ghislaine saves him. So.
Yeah, he almost gets the sword chucked at him and fucking dies. That's, you know, I talked about that in the Orsted video where it's like, that's kind of the first moment where it's like, oh fuck, I can actually die in this world. Like,
yeah.
Oh shit. And you know, it kind of breaks that facade of like, you know, people being like, oh my gosh, he's the MC of an isekai, he's overpowered and can't lose to anybody even though he's a kid. And it's like, definitely not. Definitely not the case.
Yep.
But
freaking Norse style users, dude, can't trust them.
Yeah.
They just be throwing shit at you.
Not just thinking about those posts about the North God, people just calling anything North God techniques. Fucking pocket sand. Oh, that's a, you know, ancient North God style technique, bro. Like, North God is just like literally however you can fight and win. Fucking North God. That shit
Street rules.
Yeah, it's actually fucking street rules. I can't wait till we get to the shit with fucking the Death God, Randolph.
Oh yeah, he's raw.
He's raw as fuck. I mean, he's just fucking.
Whenever I hear of him, I just think he looks like Death the Kid. So
I just think of fucking like not quite Death Knight from like Fire on the Three Houses, but like similar-ish, like Black Knight, like with like a skull hood type thing. That's what I always think of. Cool as fuck, dude. Let's see. So I don't know. Other than that, in this section, you know, it's pretty slice of lifey. You know, just chilling, learning shit. Rudius really doubles down on like trying to learn hard shit. Like, we talk about how much of a struggle it is for him to learn demon god language, but he still goes through with it and everything. I find that really cool. Yeah,
I mean, Roxy has to help him pretty much by sending him an encyclopedia, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, wow, making connections is helpful. You know, you can learn more when you have help from other people. Wow.
Yeah, because then Ghislaine teaches him Beast God language.
Yep.
Are those the only two he learns at that point?
Extra, yeah, he learns those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like the heaven language, but like he never goes there.
Yeah, there's like
never learns
heaven god language.
There's probably sea people language, I think.
Yeah, I forget the actual name. But
yeah, I don't remember.
But it's like dwarf and elf.
There's dwarf too.
Fighting god language or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I don't remember. Yeah, there's a lot of languages.
The novel goes like a lot more in depth about each of them and what they do and stuff.
Yep, definitely. Let's see. Okay, so, you know, Volume 2 ends. Crazy Fedora region, teleportation incident, all that kind of stuff, the magic disaster, etc., etc.
You get to see the first of Paragus' followers who shows up.
Yeah,
Aramonophi the Light or something?
Yeah, Aramonophi the Bright, or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes crazy. He fights with Ghislaine. It's a pretty cool looking scene. Yeah, I think it kind of seems like it's out of nowhere a little bit, although it is like foreshadowed a little bit where it's like in the anime they're like, what is this giant fucking square in the sky? I don't know. Hopefully that's nothing bad. And then teleports them all. I thought that was like a really good like plot point to just like shake things up and start like the adventure pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I think all the shit on the Demon Continent is super interesting. So, yeah, coming on to Volume 3. Volume 3 starts with we meet Hitogami, the human god. That
guy. Man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah. As the title of Volume 3, Chapter 1 says, Swindler calling himself God.
I really liked how he looked in the anime, to be honest. He's very, uncanny. Which is what I thought.
He's CG, actually, in the anime.
Yeah.
But
He
it's
looks like he's mocapped, to be honest.
yeah, it's like CG, but also like clouded, and like they do some weird shading, and they overlay different images of himself on top of himself to make it look really weird. It looks really good. It looks really, really good. Really impressive visually. I really liked it. Yeah, and he's just like, trust Ruijerd. Lol. He's like,
Ruijerd.
but he's a spurred. He's got the green hair and the demon eye thing. Yeah. But we meet Ruijerd. We already talked about it. Ruijerd's fucking dope. Really interesting character. I like all the adventuring stuff, especially in the novels. It goes into so much detail in the adventuring system and like the realities
like the
of
guild
like
system, the rank system, how much more broke the demon continent is.
mm-hmm. And like because the money, like the currency exchange rates are terrible. like having a fuck ton of money in the demon continent is like you go to Ashura and it's like, wow, that's a couple pennies. Like it is a rough place to live, and like adventurers just very frequently die there. It is tough.
Mr. Dead End himself.
Yeah, God, Richard being dead end, his reputation, all that kind of shit. Pretty cool. I like how much they talk about like the exact economics of how hard it is to make a living there. Like they do so much fighting. It's like, okay, we fought these wolves and we got this many things and we exchange it for this much money, and our living costs are like roughly this much a day, but we also need to save for this and this. And it's like, damn, this is really well thought out.
For sure.
What else happens in Volume 3? End of Volume 3 pretty much is like the stuff with they go to the place where the people were kidnapping the pets, they fuck with them, and then they kind of like indoctrinate them into the party so they can switch jobs, which is not allowed, and so they can take higher rank jobs and kill shit. Then they go into that forest, and there's like 3 people, different parties booked for jobs, including that one party of dudes which we like. And then Rudius makes a mistake and tries to like be really greedy with them, and be like, if we save them even later, then they'll like us even more, and we'll have an even better reputation. And then he waits too long, and one of them dies.
Yeah, he just gets fucking murked.
Yeah, he's one shot. And
Ruijerd's pissed.
Yeah, Ruijerd gets fucking mad because Ruijerd's like, why did you stop me? We could have saved his life, you fucking moron. And he's like, I'm an idiot. I was being greedy. But then, like, surprisingly, the party leader's like, no, it's our fault. Like, we should have known this. Like, we came in here knowing how dangerous it was, You can't just coddle us this whole time. It's not his fault. It's our fault for being fucking idiots. That kind of thing. Yeah. And Ruijerd, I think that's where Ruijerd gets a lot more development, where it's like, he starts to realize, like, he can't necessarily just, like, look down on everyone as, like, children. Like, they're warriors, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's pretty good. And from that point on, it's like, their party is way more about, like, communicating things properly, that kind of shit.
I think the snake also dodges like most of Rudy's magic.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like, damn, I still feel useless even though I'm really powerful.
Yeah. In the novels, they go into a lot more detail, and like during the fight, it's like he's shooting at it, but it dodges his rock blast attacks and shit like that. He only really hits it after like the others have weakened it pretty much, right? And it's like it talks about how much he's like, man, if this was me on my own, I would be fucking dead. And, like, I'm so, like, he feels, like, really insecure at this point. Because he's, like, it just dodges my shit. Like, I can't do anything. Like, he feels really bad about it. I thought that was super interesting. Especially for, a lot of people, in Isekai, you always have to fight that balance of, like, you want to make the main character unique and, like, strong in some way so he can have a lot of influence on the story. But you don't want to make him fucking overpowered Isekai MC number 3087, where it's like he just one-shots everybody, that kind of shit. Yeah, and that's some of the, with the isekais I like the most, that's how it is, so. Right, yeah. And so here it's like, distinctly he feels underpowered, even though their party is really good and he's a strong part of their party. It's like, he feels like he can't do anything on his own in some ways. I mean, this whole section is just like, the ruining of Rudius' mentality. Like, he is just struggling this entire fucking time. Yeah. Culminating in a couple mistakes.
Got a lot to learn about the world, man.
Yeah, that's fucking hard, dude. Demon content, you can just get fucking murked out of nowhere. But, yeah. So, end of that volume is where season 1 of the anime ends. Season 2 of the anime begins. We got, they take a port into the port city, all that kind of shit. I don't know what I want to say here. What happens? What all happens here? There's, Roxy. We find Roxy is like trying to find him, but doesn't quite find them. That kind of stuff.
He gets his demon eye from Kiri
or
whatever.
Kishirisu.
Her name is fucking hard to remember. She's a goblin.
She's a fucking goblin. She's just a complete fucking creature.
La criatura.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like the joke is constantly the played opposites of like she's like a small little girl, but she actually is like the great demon emperor. Just like she's only recently like revived,
reborn,
so she's really weak and just has no money and just bums around everywhere. Like, he gets the demon eye. Demon eye is pretty cool. It's like decently useful throughout his journey. That kind of shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It also leads to really good stuff with Eris, where it's like because of the demon eye, he beats her in like 1v1 combat, like hand to hand kind of shit. Whereas he couldn't before because she's like, kind of just been learning faster than him, that kind of stuff. And this is the point where Eris is like, she starts to really get some insecurities about herself. She starts to feel really shitty because she's like, I fucking like Rudius is really good at magic, and I lost to him in hand to hand combat. Like I can't beat him in anything, that kind of stuff.
Yep, and then Roxy with Elenais and I forget the dwarf's name.
Talhan.
Literally pass each other. Yeah.
Yeah, they pass through. I like to see where she sees Ruijerd and Eris training, and she's like, "What the fuck is that? A spurt?" And Ruijerd looks at her, and she's like, "Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking god!" and runs away.
She goes crazy.
That shit is so funny. He just scares the fucking shit out of her.
He does.
To be fair, he's fucking scary. I was gonna mention something else, but I don't remember what. Yeah, this is also the area where we get to the in chapter or volume 4, where we get to the Beast Village, like halfway through here, because they, because it costs so much to transport a Spurd, because he's evil demon race,
Yep.
They have to smuggle him through, but when they smuggle him through, Ruijerd, like, when he goes to get him, Ruijerd's like, they're kidnapping beast children, and they're, like, hurting and killing them. I'm going to murder them all. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Fair enough. Like, you got it, bro. And, so they have that big deal. Rudius, like, gets careless, gets kidnapped, or gets taken in prisoner at the Beast Village, that kind of shit.
Because the holy, I forget, the holy guardian?
Beast. Yeah.
The holy beast, who is just a big dog,
or is it
loves him.
Beast? Yeah.
Dude, he's so cute. I love him.
He's adorable. He's a baby. He's fluffy as hell.
He is.
Yeah. And there's always that weird shit of, like, the beast people are, like, they can smell, like, different emotions, like arousal and that kind of shit. And so, like, he's just like, oh my god, he's so fluffy. Like, they just confuse that with actual arousal. So they're like, oh my god, what is he doing? Like, that kind of thing.
He's violating the dog.
And he's like,
What's the dog doing?
You fluffy boy. Yeah. He gets taken out by the fucking shout power. That shit kind of OP if you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean,
fucking,
he doesn't at first.
Yeah,
so.
he just gets completely incapacitated. Like,
pretty. And then he goes to jail. That's kind of a funny sequence, to be honest, especially in the anime.
Funny. Yeah, definitely. And it looks so good. The Beast Village looks so good in the anime.
Oh yeah, that's super cool.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
I think I talked about this while I was reading the novel. That I just imagined it looked like that one, like Ford Tree Town from Gen 3 of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent an image, like, yeah, that's literally just what it looks like. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that shit is way cool. They go in a lot more detail in the novels about, like, how the rain season is, like, all the whole place fucking floods, so that's why their houses are built so high up. Yeah. And there's a ton of monsters.
Unless I'm forgetting, I feel like the anime and the novel are a lot different in the Beast Village. But I could be wrong. I just don't remember much of the novel, I guess.
I don't remember if they have, like, the whole drama with Eris and the Beast kids in the novel. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I also don't remember the kidnappers, like, burning the village, but maybe that did happen.
I'm trying to remember. That happens in one of the versions of the manga and novel, and not in one of the others.
Okay.
Jeez, I can't.
'Cause I thought what happened in the web novel was just eventually Ryuji and Eris just show up and let him out.
Yeah, that might be. I think I think that's something from the manga. Is that they like fight and all that kind of stuff, and the burning down happens.
Because you got the dude who's like
he's a sort
I
of
think
saint.
he was a North God user.
Yeah, he was a saint.
Yeah, the kidnapper guy who Rudius beats.
Yeah. In combination.
I don't think that was in the web novel. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. And in the anime, they add more detail. They show that like that sword saint guy was trained by like the fucking sword god.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know why, but like it's like okay.
Pretty cool. It was a fun little sequence.
Yeah. Like it's definitely not going to be important later, but I guess it's just setting up that character earlier, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that whole sequence is pretty cool. Good fight and all that kind of shit. It sets up Geese. I like Geese. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
It's very fun. Like, I'm not really good at one thing, but I'm good at like everything, kind of.
Yeah, it's just he's like completely useless in a fight, but he's like amazing at everything else. And it's just like that's just his natural limitation is he's just like weak as fuck, can't do anything in a fight, but he's useful in every other way.
He calls him boss all the time, which is pretty funny also.
Hey boss.
Hey boss.
Hey boss.
It reminds me of he reminds me actually a lot of a character in ReZero that's like kind of important in season 2, which is funny. So
I see.
Just in like the way he talks to the main character and stuff. So
yeah, I see. What else happens here? Yeah, but I like in the novels how much detail goes into the rainy season. Like, there's a part even where it's like Rudius like ventures out during the rainy season, and he has to like traverse the river by like freezing it into blocks of ice and shit like that, and fighting monsters. Like that shit's crazy. I don't know, pretty cool part. Fun times. And then they leave and Volume 5 starts, and Volume 5 is a lot of Paul Rudius stuff, and that shit is heavy.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, it's a rough section. I mean, they get into a big fight. I made a whole ass video where it sounds like I'm in a fucking echo chamber, but I'm talking about it anyways.
It's really good because, I mean, both sides are pretty much in the wrong, which is what makes a good argument. So
they both have a point, but they're also both being pricks in some ways. Rudius being kind of an idiot because he didn't, seek out communication. Which, to be fair, he just got kidnapped. He kind of just missed information in some towns because of that. But also, he definitely could have checked in earlier, I would say. Or realized that it was region-wide, whereas, up until this point, he doesn't realize that it's region-wide. We know, of course, because we see different perspectives, but he has no way of knowing that, especially since he's at, the center of the explosion. He has no necessary reason to think it would be bigger than where he was,
Yeah.
So, it's an understandable mistake. And, Paul's just like, well, if you're so amazing, you can just do it all. And it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's just kind of the novel touches on it a lot with more of Paul's inner monologue. It's just that deep insecurity of how Rudius doesn't feel like his son or a kid. He feels like an equal almost.
Yeah. Which is
just kind of he never really sees him as his kid 100%. Sort of. Which
is good because he's reliable, but also sucks because it's hard to get that connection in some ways.
Right.
And hard to understand his limits.
I'm sure your video touches on that a lot. So
yeah.
Watch that if you want more context.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good section. Like I said, I really like how the manga does it. It's very good. We see all Paul's insecurity and shit like that. I mean, this guy, he has so much weight put on his shoulders with that whole thing because it's he basically gets put in charge of adventuring and rescuing everyone. I mean, they have to kidnap people out of castles to fucking save them and shit like that. Because people become slaves and stuff like that. And, he's the whole time he's like, oh my gosh, are my friends dead? Or is my family dead? I haven't seen them. He's thinking about, his friend, Rawls, Sophie's dad dies during it because he gets displaced somewhere. And he's, thinking, oh my god, what if I found him earlier? I'm so horrible. That kind of shit,
Mm-hmm.
God damn, man. That's tough. So, yeah, good section, though. But they make up, which is good. And then, what else happens here? Hang on that area, stuff happens. You get to the...
Pretty much after that, I think, is when he goes to save Lilia and Aisha.
Yeah, pretty much is what after that. We also get the goblin suppression stuff with Eris during this section, but the anime hasn't covered that, so
Yeah.
just kind of set up for later.
An important character.
Yeah. Also, it's cool to see Eris beat the shit out of some stuff.
Actually, 2 important characters I introduced there.
Oh, yeah. Because there's the Miko, too, right?
Clint and Mika, yeah.
Yeah. Clive, or, not Clive, Cliff, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Clint is that's someone. I was thinking of a different
Clint
character.
Stevens?
Now, there's a character in ReZero called Clint.
Oh. Shit.
Yeah, Cliff.
Yeah, then you got Volume 6, which is mostly like the Shiro Night Kingdom, fucking saving Lilia Aisha kind of stuff.
We get to see Zenoba, the goat.
Yeah. Zenoba is so raw.
I didn't know what to think of him at all when he was first introduced, but
Yeah.
by the end of the series, you're like, this dude is the fucking goat.
At first, when you see him, you're like, this guy's a fucking weirdo, but you're like, you know what? He helped. I'm glad for that. Like, pretty lucky. Pretty lucky, you know? I love how much detail they kept in the anime with, like, the figure stuff. Like, they kept, like, he's like, oh, I took off the mold because it was, like, weird or whatever. He's like, you fucking idiot. You
Can't you see the importance of it?
You missed the nuance of this piece. And he's like, oh my god, I'm a fucking fool. I've disgraced this. Like, that shit is so funny.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even mention that Rudy's, like, neat body's voice being fucking Gintoki.
Yeah.
Makes it so hard to, like, be like, oh, this guy's gross. Because it's like fucking Gintoki talking.
Yeah, it's Tomikazu.
I just feel like he's going to say a joke half the time.
Yeah. I definitely, I don't know. I know people like that he has the older voice also, like for the inner monologue stuff. But, I don't know. For me, coming from the novels, it kind of takes me out.
Yeah, it was a lot weirder coming from the novels because, like, I never imagined it that way. So.
Yeah. But, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know. I just don't like it that much. But,
yeah.
You know, speaking about the voice actors, the last episode of the anime that just aired for season 2, apparently that's the last section they're going to use that voice for Rudius, the young kid voice.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense with the time skip, so.
Yeah, assuming the time skip happens.
I like the voice actor for young Rudius a lot, though. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a good voice actor. But yeah, they're getting someone else to do the more like teenage-ish Rudius for the next season, so. Yeah. What else happens in this arc? You got Rudius gets trapped in the barrier. That shit's important. I won't say why because it's like stuff for later, but you know, it's like, might be pretty important to figure out a way how to deal with this because this is a really good ability. I mean, you get caught in a barrier like that unless you're fucking like super godly powerful. Like, it's like if you have no way to get out, you just like you're at their complete mercy. Like you could just be dead. Like all you gotta do is fucking stick a sword in there and you lose.
Because what level was the barrier? Was it Saint or King?
It was King.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was King. So, yeah, kind of just get toasted.
Yes, sir.
Very tough, very tough. Lily and Aisha introduced. Aisha's a cool character. She does a lot of cool shit.
Yeah. I like all of Rudius' family. They're all good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Noah and Aisha are a good, like, duo because, like, I could definitely, you know, I know a lot of people who are like, there's nothing I hate more than when, like, child characters that, like, are super smart just for, like, plot reasons. Just because it makes it easier to write around, like, kids being smart instead of actually being, like, kids. But it's, like,
yeah,
you get the duality here of, like, Noah is just, like, she's just a fucking kid. Like, that kind of thing. Whereas, like, Aisha is, like, actually smart kind of thing. But also a kid in some ways. So.
Right.
It's a good duality, for sure.
She's got, like, intelligence but emotional immaturity.
Yeah, definitely. And she definitely, like, is quick to look down on other people for not being as smart as her and that kind of shit, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we get introduced to, like, cursed children, or Mikos, or whatever you want to call them, in the form of Zenoba.
Who has killed 2 people by accident.
Yeah, 2, I think.
Killed one of his siblings, and he killed his wife, I think.
Yeah,
so.
and caused a huge fucking dispute, because, yeah, do they talk about that part in the anime?
No, they actually don't at all. I think it's like I heard this is what happened. Like
yeah, that kind of thing. And
they never actually, like, show it or go into as much depth as they do in the novel.
Yeah, and specifically what they say in the novel is, like, he killed his like younger brother or whatever when they were like the day they were born or whatever, because he just didn't know his own strength, kind of thing. Because he's just like fucking superhuman strength. I mean, he can't. I think it's like he can't be damaged by like anything that isn't like Saint class or above physically, but like any magic can do damage to him, so he's kind of weak to magic in that way.
Is it any magic or is it just certain?
It's
magic,
like any magic. It's like even beginner class magic could do damage to him. And then the part with his wife was like he was getting married for a like political settling land kind of thing, you know, two different royalty of two different countries, consolidating power, that kind of stuff. So they married some chick to him, and like on the day they got married, he accidentally like ripped her head off, like because he just like he didn't know his own strength.
Oops.
And, like I don't know, they were in bed or something, I think it was, and he just rips her fucking head off, and caused a huge dispute because you know, you're supposed to ease political tensions by marrying royalty together, not fucking murder them and cause a huge fight. So he gets demoted like fucking third prince or whatever and loses a lot of power. So yeah, that's pretty tough. But he's a good guy. He's just a fucking weirdo and unfortunately cursed like that. But it's also like fortunate in the way that he can be really strong
and useful.
And useful, yeah. But you know, it goes against his nature of like he really, really likes art and fine art, but he can't craft fine art because, you know, he
got meat hands.
Yeah, he's got fucking, you know, he touches small figures and just smash that shit. He can't craft anything that delicate.
Yeah.
So very unfortunate. He's a cool character, coolest character.
Yes, sir.
And then right after that, you got Turning Point 2, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Pokekill's most anticipated.
Yeah, I was hella waiting for this shit in the anime. And the anime does a really good job of it. I talked about it in my video, but they leave out a couple of...
Which one? The third one?
Yeah. The Orsted changes everything, which had like 200-something views in the day it came out and then got taken down for copyright twice. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
They hate us. They hate us.
Now it's got like 38 views or something. Like weeks later. Oh, I'm so sad.
It's a tragedy.
Tragedy indeed. But, oh well. I'm glad it's at least out there.
Orsted, potentially one of the coolest characters ever.
Yeah, I fucking love Orsted. He's like so sick. Definitely one of my favorite characters in the series by far. You know, we get the first meeting and he fucking murders everybody and all that kind of shit, and then he unmurders them. You know how it goes.
Yeah, you know.
I really like in the novel specifically how many different questions he asks and like inquires about. Like, you know, hey, why don't you just heal yourself? Why don't you just heal yourself instead if you can use voiceless magic? I guess you can't for some reason. Hey, that was a cool trick. You know, all that kind of shit. What else is he asking that's really fucking cool? I guess I can look at it real quick. I don't know. What do you like about that section, Justin, other than it being just generally sick?
I think a lot of it that's cool is just like how much character of Orsted is shown and what isn't said.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And obviously setting up Nanahoshi is also important because she's a huge character for later.
True. Watch my other video. except don't if you're an anime only. Because it is spoilers.
Kind of spoilers.
But a lot of people have been watching it ever since that shit came out, so some people don't care. Which is cool. I mean,
but yeah, it's just like you could tell literally because of the fact there's no questioning. It's just like, are you a disciple of Hitogami? Yes. Okay, you're dead.
Explode.
But then it's like, oh, like you've caught my interest because you can do this, so now I won't, like, I have stuff to learn, and you're different than what I anticipated, sort of stuff. So
right, yeah. Let's see.
It's also like clearly shows how powerful the world powers are.
Yeah, I mean,
although I don't know, do they actually know that Orsted's a world power at that time?
Yeah, I think we learned that he's the second ranked world power.
Dragon God.
Dragon God Orsted. Evil motherfucker, kind of. Yeah, and one of the other questions that didn't make it into the anime was, he's like, why would Hitogami make you an apostle? You can't even use Toki, it seems like, that kind of thing. Like, are you trying to get me to, like, my guard down, etc.? And it's like, that's also interesting, because, like, he surmises, oh, shit, he can't even use Toki, what the fuck? And realizes how much, like, mana he has and all that kind of shit. And, you know, it sets up more of the conflict. Like, what is Hitogami trying to accomplish by using Rudius? And it's like, whoa, yeah, what is he trying to accomplish?
Yeah, they don't really talk about it in the anime, but how important it was that Rudius was actually able to like scratch him with his rock bullet.
Yeah, they do talk about it a tiny bit,
even
but not as much.
Orsted was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal because Orsted's Dragon Toki is so good to the point where it's like, you gotta be King class or better, or else you can't do any damage. Yeah. And it's like, at this point, Rudius is only like Saint ranked ? But it's like, we're starting to get the idea that like these rankings are pretty loose, right? Like,
yeah,
most of the time you get the titles of different rankings just from being able to do the big fuck off spell, not actually like
the big fuck off.
I mean, that's what it is,
like,
right? Like
Column Nimbus or whatever.
Cumulonimbus to be Water Saint, and then it's like you learn Lightning to be the fucking King class, but it's like clearly here Rudius has Earth magic on the level of King class or higher. Just it's not the exact specific spell that would be like, oh, now you are King class ranked, you know? So
right, yeah.
These are fluid states. People fixate sometimes too much on the rankings, and it's like definitely a Saint ranked person can beat a King ranked person, that kind of stuff. We'll see more of that when Eris goes to the sword place. Pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah, Turning Point 2, very cool. Very cool
second.
Very well animated as well.
Yeah, super fucking good looking. It was so funny seeing people, specifically on 4chan. Oh my god, I fucking hate 4chan. Specifically on 4chan.
Are you admitting to browsing 4chan, Pokey?
Look, I'm like sometimes I go on there. I'm sorry. They have a lot of discussion. You know, I like to see what people are talking about. And the only other place you can look is fucking r/anime, and Reddit sucks too. So. Most of the 4chan discussion is fucking morons, but because people are just like coomers and all that kind of stuff. But like, there's also a lot of good discussion in some places, and there's a lot of people there who have read the novels, whereas there's not as much novel discussion on Reddit because it's anime so like focused rather than the novels. But on 4chan, the day before, like when the last trailer came out for this episode, there were so many people doom posting. They're like, oh, look at this one screenshot. Look at how Orsted in the background looks kind of off model. And it's like, dude, this is not what makes animation good or bad. Like, that's not how it works.
What do you mean the classic one still frame of anime? People are like, look at how bad this looks.
Yeah, it's like you fucking zoom enhance and there's something in the way background. It's like, look how his face is kind of messed up looking.
Post-processed it, turned it down by like 30%.
Yeah. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. And lo and behold, the episode comes out and it looks fucking amazing. There's like probably 10 plus like cuts that you could put on fucking Sakuga Buru in that one episode, right? Like,
yeah.
I think of like the part where Ruijerd and Orsted are fighting.
With the spear.
That shit looks so good. The part where Rudius shoots the big fuck off fireball at him. That shit looks hella good. The part where Rudius shoots the big spiral earth drill thing at him. That looks really good. There's just a lot of really good looking shots in that. It's super cool. Very, very well animated. And then we get the end of it, which is, you know, Eris so insecure now about, like, you know, she was quote-unquote useless during the Orsted fight. Rudius managed to land a scratch on him, that kind of thing. And afterwards, when we see in the anime, I'm glad they didn't cut this out. We see in the anime, you know, he's practicing this disturb magic that he learned from Orsted, like seeing it happen, trying to figure out how it works. And we get Eris kind of looking at him like, dang, interesting. Whereas in the novel specifically, it's like that look means, wow, I can't believe you're so strong and still practicing even though you just almost died, that kind of thing. Where she's just like been afraid ever since, pretty much, kind of thing. And she's like, dang, I need to train more. Like, I'm way weaker than him right now. And so, you know, they have sex, all that kind of stuff, and leave. And she leaves him. She's like, I fulfilled my promise. I'm gonna go train. Like, and you know, being the fucking autist that she is, she leaves him a terribly written note that's just like, we're not a good match right now. I'm leaving you to get stronger. Like,
dude, she can't write good. Come on.
She is very bad at communicating. I've seen people write that as like a fucking, oh, it's such a plot convenience kind of thing. It's like, come on, man. Like,
it was like well established pretty early on that she didn't like learning how to write or read very much. So
yeah, it's like,
it's not like she's been learning how to do it the past 3 years they've been traveling either. It's going to atrophy.
Yeah. And it's like, You really think she's the kind of person that would explain all the insecurities she's feeling, like, to someone? Like,
Yeah.
No, that would break.
Well, you know, Aries, come on.
Like, that would break my suspension of disbelief way harder. Like, I would be like, oh yeah, Eris would totally be like, here is my feature-length novel of why I feel bad. Like, no, she'd just be like, I'm leaving, bye.
Sayonara.
Which Rudius rightfully interprets as very upsetting. And
yeah, I mean, he's got past trauma of being abandoned
Yep.
and left before.
Yep, abandonment issues coming to the surface once again. But we see him find the motivation to keep going. Thinking, well, at least I need to find Zenith still, that kind of thing, which is super good. Really cool sequence in the anime. I really like that sequence.
Yeah, with his neat self.
Yeah, and yeah, there's more details there than were in the novel, for sure. Like,
yeah, that shit kind of hit hard.
Yeah,
I can't lie.
It was super good. And I like all the stuff about, like, Zenith in like a dreamlike state, that kind of thing. And we see what she's thinking and all that kind of stuff. Pretty cool. We learned that Zenith is in the Begirate continent. Begrito, whatever you want to call it.
Deep underground.
Yeah, she's somewhere. Some crazy shit. So, yeah. And we see Rudy is, like, heading north, that kind of thing. So...
out into the wilderness.
Yep. I saw people talk about this on r/anime. They were like, because, what's his name? The servant guy. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember either.
I think it starts with the S. Either way, he comes in and he's like, well, we need help doing this kind of stuff. You're not doing anything, that kind of stuff. I know it's hard, etc., etc. In the novel, he goes back and he, like, helps them before he leaves and that kind of stuff. They just didn't show it in the anime. Like, some people were like, dude, is he really not going to help them? He just left? Like, no, he helps them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's where it ends. That last couple episodes were just so good looking. I mean, I really love, like, right before Ruijerd leaves and all that kind of stuff, there's all these, like, really quiet moments of, like, looking at the scenery and stuff that you don't get as much in anime as you should. It's very cool.
Yep. And you kind of see how, like, Ruijerd's already being less, like, afraid of, renowned, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Where he helps the one people, like, I would be scared of you. You fucking saved my life.
Yeah.
And he realizes it's like, oh, not everyone will just hate me if I do good things.
Yeah, that shit is so cool. Very good place to end. I'm excited for the next season whenever it gets announced and all that.
Yeah, it'll probably be another, like, 2-core thing, I assume, right? Probably. Like 25 episodes split into 2 parts again.
Probably, something like that, yeah. And these were just technically separate seasons, I think. Were they?
Are they? I guess so.
No,
yeah.
they were part 2, I guess. Like, part 1, part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I want them to take their time on it. Like, I want this whole adaptation to look this good. Like, and
that would be the dream.
I mean, it looks like what they're doing right now, right? So, I want this whole thing to look hella good. And I am super
agree.
happy with it right now. Super duper happy. Yeah, I cannot wait for some of the later stuff to get animated. Oh boy.
Yeah.
We got the OVA coming out with the Eris.
Thinking of some stuff that'll be cool. And School Arc in general is just, like, pretty fun.
Yeah,
so.
It'll definitely be fun. There's also, like, people talk about it being, like, really slice of life. There's also a surprising amount of fights in School Arc. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you get to see fucking Bodyguardy.
Yeah, Bodyguardy. His name is so raw. Bodyguardy. Like,
Rather raw,
like all the demons are named after, like, or all the demon kings are supposed to have, like, names that have, like, some kind of symmetry like that, where they're, like, kind of similar.
Yeah.
Backwards.
Okay, so what I was unsure of, but I think was meant to be the case, is that in the Beast Kingdom, the 2 children that Eris are training with, that's supposed to be Rinia and, like, Priscilla or whatever.
No,
right?
no.
Was it not?
No,
okay.
I've seen a lot of people saying that because they're confused also. No, it's not. They're just their younger siblings. Like,
oh, okay.
They are siblings.
Because I was like,
yeah.
That'd be a lot different in the novel, because I don't think Eris ever met them before.
Yeah, no, none of them ever met them before. And also they would be too young then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying that and were confused by it, so. But yeah, they are different. just siblings, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that reminds me that we also got stuff about like Ghislaine, like her past in that village, and how she was just kind of a shithead the whole time.
Much like Eris.
Yeah. And the one village chief guy's like, what? Really? She became like, no way, you can't, you're lying. She did not learn how to like fucking do math. Like, like that kid who would just beat the shit out of everyone and do nothing good. It's like, yeah, crazy. That shit was super cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question now is like, will they adapt light novel 7? Which, for those of you who do not know, the next section, there's either going to be a time skip, or there's a section that was added in the light novel, not the web novel version, that covers the time skip a little bit, like, broadly. Like, we get this whole time skip section, but, like, we see what happens during the time skip. So the question is, will they animate that or not? Or will they take the web novel route of just, like, skipping over it? I mean, I would be fine with either way, but I think it might make more sense to just do what the web novels have.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Right? I mean, you always ultimately have to cut stuff when you're adapting to anime. I mean, that's why it's an adaptation, right? You have to benefit the things that this medium is good at, which, you know, anime as a medium is not as good as novels for lots and lots of exposition. It's just not. So,
yeah,
something like this, which wasn't even in the original version, and like, it is good. I liked it, but it's not ultimately important. I think it would be fine to skip it. I kind of hope they do, maybe, just to go through stuff faster and not like have more things that we need to produce.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I'm fine either way, honestly.
Yeah,
it just depends.
People seem to think that they are going to adapt it because the manga is going back and adapting it now. So
yeah, I mean, that could be a reason why, but
right.
I think the fact that I'm sure the second season or whatever has already been under production for a while, so
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It's because you know, it's like people are like, oh yeah, why else would the manga go back and adapt this part except for that the anime just got there, you know? But maybe they want it to be like a substitute or something. I don't know.
Could be.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, that's the whole section. You got any other thoughts on this kind of time span? Any other things that stick out to you as cool?
I don't know. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I would say.
I think just the world building is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is like, there's really no... I don't think there's any room for debate that Mushoku Tensei is like at the very least a top 3 of like isekais ever made. So
yeah, I mean, shit is fantastic.
I'd probably put it in like top 2. But
yeah, that's fair.
It's not like competition is super stiff because there's a lot of bad isekais.
Yeah, so. I mean, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's one of the best isekais." So what? It's like a 7, like, and it's like, oh, fuck off. Like, people are so judgmental with like, "Oh, an isekai can't be good." Like.
When isekais are good, they're really good, I think.
Yeah,
so.
I really love smart shows, you know, dude. Like, I love shows that are fucking smart and well written. I love Casher and Sins, fucking Cowboy Bebop, Ashitanojo, Legend of Galactic Heroes, that kind of shit. I'm watching Texanalize right now, which is just like slow and smartly written, that kind of shit. But like, this show isn't dumb by comparison or anything, you know.
Yeah,
isekais don't have to be bad just because a lot can be bad. I mean, a lot of everything is bad. It's fucking 80-20 rule.
So true.
Yeah. So, super dope. Super dope.
I like the ending theme a lot, too. We didn't really talk about that, but...
Yeah, I don't... The ending theme from Season 1's, like, pretty alright. I really like the one from Season 2, though.
Yeah, Season 2's is really good.
Multiple times I've watched the one from Season 2, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is so, like, well animated. Like, it looks so good.
It's all the same singer, too, for opening and ending, which is cool. So.
And they went back to the first opening for the section when they got back to the Fatilla region in Season 2.
Yeah.
That was cool. Good callback. I wonder what the voice actor for teenage years stuff is going to sound like for Rudius.
If I had to, like, I'm trying to think if I had to pick someone who it would be. Because it'd be like, he's probably going to be more like downtrodden, I feel like, almost.
For a good part of it, yeah.
So it's probably someone who has like that good like emotion range.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not super knowledgeable about voice actors, so I mean, like, I recognize voice actors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I recognize a lot. It's just hard to think of like who would I cast to play a role, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no way I could do that.
Honestly, someone I'd think would be kind of like, I don't know, something like Jorno's voice actor kind of calls out to me for some reason.
I see.
Maybe it's the blonde hair.
Yeah.
I like Jorno's voice actor a lot. And he's kind of got that like somewhat subdued like
definitely
voice, which I think could work.
Yeah, but there's still like a good range of emotion in that subdued amount.
Right.
Like,
that's kind of what I was thinking. So.
Man, dude, people who shit on Giorno are such idiots. I love Giorno so much, bro. Like,
but Cole, he does not tell me everything he's thinking. Therefore, he's thinking nothing.
He has like such complex thoughts too. Like, he is the only like JoJo up to this point who would just straight up kill somebody, like just for pissing him off in that kind of way. Like, he, you know, I always come back to the Chocolata fight, where it's like, you know, in that kind of fight, there's the section where it's like, he's like, okay, well, if you don't do anything, we'll let you go, this kind of thing here. And, you know, Chocolata uses it to buy time to try to kill him. And then he turns the table and is like, actually, while you were doing this, I was planning this thing that would finish you off. And he's like, what? But I thought you were going to let me go if I didn't do anything. He's like, oh, please. You think you would be that lucky? That kind of thing. And he fucking murders him.
We'll have to do a part 5 cast, honestly. We did a part 4 cast.
Oh, yeah, we do need to. Gavin's got to fucking watch it, actually.
He got like halfway through,
he's like
didn't
halfway
he, or something?
But he's been like halfway since like it aired. So
yeah, part 5 is sick.
Part 5 is super dope. But yeah, I like that part so much because it's like, if it was Jotaro, like, Jotaro would just give them a chance. Like, that's what he always does. Like, there's multiple times where it's like, oh yeah, Rubber Soul, yeah, okay, fine. If you just leave me alone, I won't like beat the shit out of you anymore. That's like,
in most ways, they're almost like polar opposites. Or Jotaro seems like, you know, he'd do anything, but he's kind of a softie, where Giorno seems like a nice guy, but it's just kind of like, I'll do what I have to. I don't care.
Yeah, so. Exactly. He lives in the fucking gangster world. They don't give a shit about killing people. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just...
I mean, they should know from the fact he injects literally, like, purple haze venom into himself. It's like, how can you say he has no character?
Yeah, he's crazy, bro.
Kind of shit. I don't know. Just a bunch of morons.
Yeah, just people, you know... It's that so much people shit on the fucking telling instead of showing, and they're like, oh my gosh, this exposition is so bad, where the character's like, this is how I live, and this is my code of conduct. And it's like, that's so unrealistic kind of thing. But then every time a character who doesn't do that comes around, they're like, he didn't explain to me his ideals? Like, what is... He doesn't think anything. And it's like, dude. No, Giorno is super good. Super, super good.
Yep.
Cool ass character.
But I think that's probably more for another time. Anyway, so.
For the actual part 5 cast, so.
Yeah. Unless we have anything else, I guess this will be the end of part 1. So.
Yep, part 1. We'll have next part. What are we covering in the next part? Is it going to be up through...
That would be up to, I guess, when is the official, like...
I don't know.
It's a change between, I think it's when he gets out of school.
Would you say, like, we could probably just do another, up till turn.
I think it's called, like, War Arc or something, when it changes from, like, young adult to war or something.
War Arc.
I don't know. I'd have to look again. I'm sure it says, but...
I see.
Wait, actually, we can look. Check on the wiki right now.
Oh, yeah, true.
Mushoku Tensei Wikipedia.
So many people have
it marked it on the wiki, I think, when I was looking at it. So yeah, story arcs. Here we go. So it's a childhood arc, home tutor arc, entry level adventure arc, voyage arc, homecoming arc.
Can you link me this?
Yeah, it's just like on the wiki.
Story arcs, okay. Childhood to
So yeah, I'd probably split it probably at like the everyday life arc. It's kind of like when it changes, I think, because there's like a big time skip there, sort of.
Yeah. So.
Or it's like after his fight with Orsted, I think.
That's a.
I don't know. Maybe we could just do as much as we want. Also, it does not really matter.
Yeah,
But
it's like it's tempting to just do like 6 and then 6 more and then 6 more or something, but it doesn't kind of cleanly end like that. So yeah, maybe we could do that. I don't know. All right. Either way, I don't have anything else to say about this.
Here we go. This is what I was looking for actually. This has it like marked like juvenile period, youth period, young man period, and then finale. So yeah, it'd probably be between volumes 13 and 14.
13 and 14. Okay.
Because like 7 through 13 is like school.
Yeah. Okay.
And like 14 through the end is pretty much the rest.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So something like that. Yeah.
We might have to break that last section up into 2 or something because
there's a lot that happens
so
in those last 7 volumes or whatever.
I mean, those last like 5 or so volumes are like 20 something chapters a piece instead of like 10.
Yeah.
So it gets crazy.
But yeah.
Cool. Final thoughts on this section. Overall, good. Definitely, I would say.
Probably the weakest section, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
So. At least the first half. All right.
Like, so much of this is all set up for later, so it's just, how it be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, call it there. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one. Woo!
Peace.